What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Awlaround. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your beautiful, gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some amazing topics that we're going to discuss tonight. Primarily election 2024 and some more nonsense that's going on in the world, but our primary focus is going to be election 2024 and the shenanigans that are surrounding the election. Not only the shenanigans, but how they are trying to dumb down Black people and, our level of intelligence from that to jobs to just being flat out plain old racist. So without any further ado, before we get into our discussion session, let me go ahead and bring out the producer, Mark, please, so we can have this discussion firsthand. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a quiet day. It is actually the birthday, hitting one of them magic 60 numbers, but it is a birthday that fell on the early part of the week. So I'm having a quiet birthday. And since there is not a current significant other, it's just been a quiet birthday, but that's okay. Quiet birthdays are sometimes what you need to have peace of mind and all along those lines. So sometimes you just need
It is.
quiet
Happy
time and some
birthday
time for
to
yourself
you.
and everything along those lines in that space. So definitely it's always good to spend some quality time with somebody that you love dearly, which is yourself and everything. So that's what I've been doing, just reflecting and having a good old time in that space and everything. Maybe later
That's
on there'll be some other
awesome.
activities and other things that go on, but right now it's just a quiet 60 something. We'll just leave it at that.
Happy birthday to you. I hope you had an amazing day.
Yeah. Like I said, it was quiet, but it was still amazing. The fact that you wake up and see the sunshine, that is always a good thing, and all along those lines. And definitely it's been quiet. Did have a lot of birthday wishes and all in that space. And like I said, may go out with some friends later on because I believe in that whole notion of celebrating not just for one day, but celebrating for a little bit of time and all along those lines. Who knows? I might even decide to pop up into the DC or Atlanta area or some other fun place in that line at some point or another
Can you hear me?
during the birthday month.
That's a beautiful thing. Can you hear me? I just plugged my mic in.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can
Can
hear
you
you
hear
loud
me?
and clear. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking because I just plugged my mic in. Yes, just
Yep.
making sure because I want everything to be clear and to be heard. So, as you know, we are in the election of the century. The election of, I think is more crucial than the election with Hillary and the presidential election 2024. And I know that we've been seeing a lot of shenanigans going on the TV currently from CNN and other news outlets. I know CNN did not extend, offers to Black news media. They were shut out of the presidential election and couldn't go in there. And even the narrative that they're spinning that people are abandoning Biden and jumping ship and that we want to replace him with someone else. So I'm just going to say this and be clear. Let me be clear. Let me be very, very clear. We do not want to replace Biden. You cannot judge a person off of a 90-minute debate on the trajectory of how he's going to perform. We have to look at his past record and what he has done. We also have to take into account the things that the other opponent, Trump, has done and has not done. I know there's a lot of people out there that saying that Trump decimated President Biden and things like that or whatever. Trump won the election. I mean, won the the
Debate.
debate and things like that or whatever. But Trump did not win the debate, and he's not going to win the election. Trump You cannot possibly win a debate when you did not answer any of the questions and all you spewed was lies for 90 minutes. You cannot possibly do that. Was he consistent with his responses? Yes, he was consistent with his responses. Did he continue to talk and spew hate and spew misinformation? Yes, he did do that. But as far as the accuracy and the substance behind what he's saying, none of that stuff was accurate. Pretty much everything that came out of his mouth was a lie, and we know that. Now, did Biden perform up to his potential? No, he did not. The man is 81 years old, but also people have to take into account Biden has a speech impediment.
Mhm.
And for a person who has a speech impediment and who suffers from stuttering, you could see on his face that he was trying to focus on his words and he was trying to be clear, and he did not want to make a mistake. And it's quite natural that he would, feel this way because in the past, what has Trump done? He has made fun of people, the reporter who was disabled. He made fun of him. He made fun of Biden, who speaks with a stutter and things like that. So quite naturally, there was some uneasiness there, and you could see it. And you could also see the frustration on Biden's face every time Trump spoke, from the lies and the misleading and the nonsense and all of the rhetoric that he was spewing or whatever. Because I want people to take into account, especially educators, and I'm speaking to educators right now.
Right.
So when the educators, when you're in your classroom and your administrator comes in and say that you're being observed today, right? So your administrator is getting a 15 to 20-minute snapshot of what you do on a consistent basis. But this particular day, you did not have a great day. You were off, the kids were off, things like that. And in the back of your head that your class normally functions with consistency, with ease, with being concise, being on point. But this particular day, your kids were off and you were off, and you just had a bad day. So when
Mhm.
you go down after your evaluation has taken place and you're doing your post conference, and your administrator tells you that they want to put you on a improvement plan because you did not perform up to your expected potential, or you did not perform up to the way that they thought you were going to perform. So do you think that's accurate, and do you think that's fair? Although you know that you can do better, although you know that you have done better, although you know that you were having an off day, although you know that your kids were having an off day. So should you allow that 30-minute observation to define you as an educator and to define you as a teacher in that moment? So is that fair? So we already know the answer. No, it's not fair. So how are you going to hold President Biden to a 90-minute debate, which we clearly saw that was, uncomfortable in some instances, which he clearly, was having some moments or whatever. It's not that he's not, prepared cognitively, but we also know that he has a speech impediment. And we also know that people who have speech impediments and other people who have, disabilities and things like that, when the pressure is mounting, they do not perform well in some situations and things like that. I know I have been so nervous that I could not have performed in certain situations. I've been in situations where I've said some off the wall things and I performed incorrectly. So we're going to allow 90 minutes to define who this man is, and to look at, not take into account all of the things that this man has done for Black America, HBCUs, other people, the LGBTQIA community and things like that. So you're going to allow 90 minutes to say that, oh, we need to drop our candidate and we need to get somebody else? No. And I'm saying this clear on my show right now. We are not dropping President Biden. We as black, and I'm speaking for Black Americans that know me and that are affiliated with me. We as Black Americans, we are sticking with President Biden. We are not voting for Trump. We know this man is a racist. We know his father was associated with the Ku Klux Klan. We know this man has been brought up on charges. The Department of Justice has sued him because he did not want Black people living in his buildings. We already know that he doesn't like Black people. We already know that he has some token Blacks who are pandering to have that white acceptance to say, oh, I have proximity to Trump. We already know that that's there. You know what I'm saying? We're not speaking to those people. We're speaking to the diehard Democrats. We're speaking to the ones that are going to, save this country and make sure that we get out to vote and make sure that, everything is taken care of. Those are the people that we're speaking to. And now for the people in corporate America, when your boss comes in and gives you an evaluation and you're having an off day, And they come in and tell you your services are no longer needed because you did not perform well when I evaluated you. You think that's fair? You think that in a 10, 15, 20 minute evaluation that they captured everything that you do and everything that you brought to the country, to the company? No, quite naturally it's not fair. So how are you going to say a 90-minute debate captured everything that President Biden has done? It cannot possibly capture everything that President Biden has done. So this is where we are. Do we continue on the same trajectory, or do you fall for the foolishness and the okey doke that Trump is spewing? Trump has already said that he's going to be a dictator on day one. Trump has already said that he's trying to make America great again. What do you think make America great again? They want to revert back to where black people were put into their place back in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and things like that, where black people had no say, you had no rights. That's what they mean by make America great again. They want you cleaning their houses. They don't want you as an intellectual and an equal. They want you to feel to be less than. So, are you ready to be less than? Because that's exactly what they're spewing. They want law and order. What do you think law and order means? Law and order means that your black ass have no rights, and when you get shot down in the street, there's no protest taking place because they want to arrest protesters. They want to shoot protesters. They want to kill protesters. Kyle Rittenhouse, his mother, well, not his mother, but his mammy drove him across the United States to kill and murder 3 to 4 people. Is that what you want? You want a dictatorship? Because that's exactly what he's aiming for. He wants his family in office. He's already said that he wants his family to rule and run the United States. That's not a democracy. That's autocratic. That's a monarchy. You know what I'm saying? That's what they have over there in England with the royal family. So do you want that over here? Because you think the grass is greener on the other side, but it's really not. And for all the people who, for the poor white people out there, because y'all think y'all better than black folks anyway, y'all think that it's not going to affect you, because it really does affect you. A lot of black people are not receiving government assistance. A lot of black people don't receive housing. A lot of black people don't receive EBT, which is food stamps and TANF and things like that. A lot of black people grew up in homes. They did not grow up in the system. So when President Trump, the former president, convicted felon President Trump, made the comment that Hispanics were coming over here trying to take black jobs. What black jobs are they taking? Which ones? Because most of the people that I know are professionals, neurosurgeons, lawyers, doctors, myself. You know what I'm saying? And other people, accountants. I have a host of friends that are nurse practitioners. I have cousins that are doctors and other professional people. So what jobs are they taking? So you're basically saying that we're not qualified to be in the jobs and the positions that we hold, because that's basically what you're saying. So you want us to be nannies and house cleaners and maids and things like that, or whatever. So you guys can play around with this election if you want to, because we have three more Supreme Court seats that are going to come up that needs to be filled in the next coming years. So you want 3 additional people on there, like Amy Colby Barrett and the other 2 who reversed all the laws of the land, Roe versus Wade and things like that, and they're gonna go after LGBTQ. Have you not heard of Project 2025? This is the plan for the Republicans. So you can be stupid and fall for the okey doke if you want, and vote your right away, vote everything away, because the only people that's going to benefit are white men, straight white men. Nobody else is going to benefit. So you can vote your right away, or you can vote on the right side of history in this election. So for the most people that I know, we're going to vote blue, and we're going to vote on the right side of the election. Mark?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people will be doing. I'm still trying to figure out exactly. I was having that conversation with a friend of mine, and he did say just kind of what you said, that a lot of that is code language, because he was actually saying that to his base and all along those lines, because it is kind of this notion that we aren't doctors, we aren't lawyers, we aren't engineers, we aren't a number of other things that are out there. Because if you think about it, what a black job is, according to his mindset, would be those jobs that are more menial kind of jobs. And I'm not knocking that, because there is definitely a need for people that are in the trades and a number of other things. And as we've said on this show several times, some of those people in the trades can actually even make more than the doctors, lawyers, and engineers out there, sometimes even combined and everything. But it's him playing to his base and this notion that there are certain jobs that we should be sticking to, and all along those lines, which are the lower paying jobs, because that's what it really means when he says the black jobs and everything, just like he's really saying that Raphael, and that's the nickname that my friend gave for the Hispanics and everything, that they need to be sticking to construction, since a lot of them are in the construction field. Not that that's the only thing that they're doing, but that is kind of a stereotype. So this whole notion of a black job, because I've never seen a job that is literally listed as a black job, but apparently, according to Trump, there are black jobs out there and Hispanic jobs, and the folks from the other side of the southern hemisphere are coming and taking these jobs from us. And as we've said on this show and a number of other times, there are a lot of those jobs that we're not even trying to go into for a variety of reasons and everything. But yeah, that was a bunch of BS that was said, and he definitely said a lot of BS. I think that the fact checkers had a field day, and there were some inaccuracies, even by our good friend Joe Biden, because we did lose some people in battle, and I think he said we had not lost any in his
No, he said we lost
time.
three.
Yeah, and there's not been a tremendous amount compared to what other folks have done. So I agree that it was just a misstatement, and his misstatements did not represent anything near the kind of misstatements and just plain out lies that former President Trump said. Because there were questions that he ducked. Because I don't know if you noticed it, but there was a lot of kind of not just ducking, but otherism that was going on as well. So even when he did not want to answer a question, he would always throw it back to these immigrants that are supposedly coming in and committing all of these crimes and committing all of these horrible acts. And while I will not say that there have not been some of those cases, because there are documented cases, most of the people I know, including those people in that space, they are trying to do their best to go unnoticed and go under the radar. So they're not trying to do things that might actually get them caught if they are here illegal and all along those lines. So that was just a bunch of outright nonsense that he was putting out there and all along those lines. But that's just my opinion on both the black jobs and this notion that these folks are coming here to kind of like take these jobs and to be a threat. And I'm not saying that there aren't some elements that are a threat, but that is the very serious minority. It is not the majority. And like I said, a lot of those, because I have some friends that are in that community, they're trying to survive and trying to make it as best as they can. And in a lot of ways, they are trying to do anything they can to stay underneath the radar.
I mean, yes, that is true, but like you said, we have isolated cases where some of the immigrants have committed crimes, and we also have some cases where we have the gangs, MS-13s, and things like that. But the greatest threat to America is white males,
Mhm.
who are between the ages of 25 and 40. Those are the greatest threat to America. Those are domestic terrorists and things like that. Because when you look at who has done most of the mass shootings, is white males,
Mhm.
and it's no other demographic. It's white males, and this is out there on the FBI website and things like that or whatever. But this is the stuff that they don't say, and this is the stuff that they don't spew, but they want to say minorities are are the problem. Let me just put this out there to you, white people in particular. If black people wanted to do you something, it would have already been done. We just want to live, be respected, work, go home, and be in peace. We don't give two rats asses about what you got going on unless it directly affects us. So this election directly affects us. So yes, we're out there. We're going to be out there. We're going to be campaigning. We're going to support President Biden. We're going to let him know that we stand with him 10 toes down, and we're going to stand on business, and we're going to be at the polls, and we're going to vote in that election, and we're going to come out in droves, because we already know that we can't depend on white women, because they have already said. I was in conversation with one on Facebook, and she's like, I would rather stick with the felon. I know some felons who are really nice people. No, so you're gonna stick with somebody who says that they grab women by their private parts and things like that or whatever, and you're gonna stick with somebody who has stripped your rights away as a woman and things like that or whatever. You're gonna stick with that person. And like I told her, that's exactly why when they did what they did, black women did not step up and stand with them. When they were running around here with that feminist movement and things like that, black women set it out, because we already know that they will vote against their own best interest. And when they vote against their own best interest, it affects us too, because they outnumber us. We make up what, 14% of the population? if that much or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they make up what the majority of the population. So their vote not only, affects them, but it also affects us. So no, we do not stand with you. And I've said this over and over again. We do not stand with you because you always vote against your own best interest because you support the white supremacy behind it and the notion behind white supremacy because you are a direct beneficiary of the white supremacy and the
Well,
white
just out of
supremacy
curiosity,
structures.
in that same line, because they're going to mention somebody from your neck of the woods and everything, and there's actually one of my friends that is falls in the group that I'm getting ready to mention as well. But I just wondered your thoughts, because there are a number of sisters that are part of the feminist movement. Patricia Hill Collins is a part of the feminist movement and even wrote a book called Black Feminist Thought. My friend Alexis Pauline Gump is definitely part of the Black feminist philosophy and everything. So I just wondered, what is your thoughts and what is your answer to these women that choose to be involved in the feminist movement that are from our society and from our culture and everything? Like I said, I just named two of them. I'm sure I could think of some others as well, but there are a number of those. And like I said, the first one I mentioned, Patricia Hill Collins, is even, I think, a professor at the University of Maryland, if I remember correctly, and everything. But I was just wondering your take on that because that book she wrote was from the year 1990.
I mean, my thing is to each his own and things like that or whatever. I do not, I me particularly, I don't support, what they stand for and things like that because a lot of the people who supported the feminist movement, I think that they had a ulterior motive or whatever, because a lot of men, even with the Me Too movement, um, a lot of men were, caught up. And I'm not saying that some men didn't deserve to, get punished and things like that, but I think that movement hurt a lot of people in the process or whatever. But, like I said, I'm not a part of that feminist movement because I don't stand with them and I don't stand how they operate. They want us to support them, but they don't want to support black women. So, that's where my issue is. I can't support women who don't support me. And so I don't consider myself a feminist or whatever. So, like I said, to each his own, you out there, whatever you want to do is what you do. But me personally, I'm just not doing it.
I hear
So,
what you're saying. I know some people, even in that movement, I think Kimberly Crenshaw was one of those. They talked about this whole notion of intersectionality and kind of like how the various issues, whether it's LGBT or race or a number of other things, should be blended together and fought together. Now, it sounds to me like you're
but why
saying,
would they do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be pessimistic or I'm not trying to be negative or whatever, but the LGBTQIA community has been even more racist to black LGBTQIA, identifiers and things like that than the regular white folks or whatever. So my thing is, why would they partner?
like I said, different people have different philosophies and maybe ideas.
Yeah, but
Yep.
it's crazy, because the thing about it is, like I said, they're just as racist. Just like, for example, the club that's here in DC in Adams Morgan is called Nelly. A black woman was assaulted there by one of the security guards. He drug her down the steps by her hair. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, you're supporting these white owned businesses, and they want your money, but they don't want your presence there. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's also been stated that, they don't even serve, drinks like Hennessy and things like that attract black people. They don't serve things like that. So, me and my black girl dollars, I'm not going to support, known white races, establishments like that or whatever, because, my thing is, I'm not going to eat and support where I'm not welcome. And
Yeah.
that's just the bottom line.
That makes sense. But in that same line and everything, I know that there, because another friend of mine, Minister Paul Scott, and everything, he was one of those people that was very much adamant in the fight against those liquor companies for exactly that reason, because he felt that a lot of them were kind of targeting our young people and were definitely doing it in a way that was racist. So he definitely
Hmm.
targeted a lot of those kind of companies that were in the liquor companies and were trying to spread that liquor into our community and all along those lines. So that's a fight that I thought was worth having when he had it back in the day, and he's still doing that fight, even though they're still out in our community and all along those lines. So I agree with you that this debate should have been, because apparently he had a very strong showing, and ironically, it was just down the road from me, literally about a couple of hours after that debate and everything because
Hmm.
literally a few hours later, I think it was at 3 or 4 a.m., he was in Raleigh. I did not attend it, but I know some friends of mine, including our current mayor, the mayor of Durham, who is a brother, that was there, and even Steve Rao, who was on this network. And they all said that he was much stronger a couple of hours later when he was in a more comfortable environment and everything. So, yeah, one performance should not dictate the way that we treat this man and all along those lines. So I would agree with you on that. So definitely, I think people are trying to give him this notion that he is very old and everything, and yet he is an old man. But let's not forget his opponent is only 4 years younger and has definitely had some issues himself with some of the cognitive things that he has displayed. And this whole notion of them having a golf match, that was probably one of the worst moments in the debate and everything. But I don't know your thoughts because I was even reading an article recently where they were saying that golf can be a very elitist sport and everything in that space, but they got into this whole tit for tat as to who had the better handicap.
Well, my thing about it is I'll take wisdom over arrogance any day. So I'll take Biden wisdom over Trump arrogance any day because Trump doesn't see any wrong with his his doing and things like that. And these white people are out here playing directly into his hands and things like that or whatever. This country was built on a system of democracy, and by them, which I expected the Supreme Court to vote that way because those are handpicked people that he put on the Supreme Court. So quite naturally, they're going to support him and his ideology and what he stands for and things and things along that line. So it's no surprise there. So my thing is, this man can go out here, do what he wants, say what he wants, and he's not being held accountable. So at some point, somebody needs to hold this man accountable, and we as voters, we have to go to the polls and we have to hold them accountable regardless of golf or whatever. We're not doing no golf because we already know games and stuff can be manipulated. No, we're not doing that. We're going to hold it to the people. We're going to go to the polls. We're going to take it to the streets. We're going to put boots on the ground and we're going to go vote. And we're going to let Trump know that he's going to jail and that we want him in there. So that can be, that should be the message that we're sending as, black women, black people, and strong black voters coming from the black community.
No, no doubt that some of the messages should be out there and everything. Just pivoting slightly, I was going to ask you
Hmm.
about a disease that has been very much out there, and I saw a positive news around this disease because there is a beautiful young woman. She's in her 80s and everything, and apparently she got past what was expected because we do know that the life expectancy with a certain disease that is out there, and unfortunately it targets our community more than any other, and that is sickle cell. But this young lady, and I saw this article, she turned 80 and she was not expected to live that long because it is a disease
Hmm.
that impacts us more than it impacts anybody else and all in that space. So Patricia McGill is apparently about to celebrate or is in the process of celebrating, speaking of birthdays, her 80th birthday. And apparently she definitely did more than was expected and lived past the life expectancy that is expected. So she's among the oldest people in the U.S. with sickle cell disease, and she attributes her longevity to optimism, faith, a supportive community, and something that I know you talk about as well, which is good nutrition and
Hmm.
everything along those lines. So when she was 13 and learned that she had inherited sickle cell disease, she did not think she would reach 30, but now she and her family are celebrating her 80th birthday. So definitely the living Gill is one of the nation's oldest people with sickle cell disease, living decades past age 52, which is the life expectancy
Hmm.
of someone with the disease, which has a disproportionate effect on African Americans and all along those lines. So I just wonder your thoughts around this resilient woman who has lived many years past what she was expected, and she was diagnosed back when she was 13, and now she is 80.
I mean, my thing is God has the final say so. Man can only put out, predictions and hypotheses and things like that or whatever. Man cannot predict, your trajectory in terms of life expectancy and things like that. They make a notion, they have an idea. But again, God has the final say so. And if God still wants her here to, be a role model, to be a mark, to be, all those things, she's going to be here. And no man made nothing is going to take her out or anything like that or whatever. And that's a blessing for her to be able to um be in the right of 80 something years old and living with the disease and battling it and, maintaining. So that is definitely a blessing. Like I said, God always has the final say. So, and for those who don't believe in God, that's on you.
Yep. And apparently she's not that far from your neck of the woods because apparently she is born and raised, and I think she still lives in the Houston area. So we do know that Houston is just down the around the corner from your area where you have a lot of family members and all on
Hmm.
that area in the sense of Louisiana. And in 1963, she enrolled in Hampton University, not that far from me. So it was actually in Virginia, and definitely that's where she got her education, but it does look like she's got some strong roots in the whole notion of what's going on in terms of Houston and all in that space. So, yeah, just want to give a shout out because we do know a lot of people that are fighting
Hmm.
that disease, and it is one of those diseases that is unfortunately more prominent in our community because of different things that go on genetically and all along those
Hmm.
lines.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time, go support black doctors. Black doctors understand black issues and they support you inside of the medical arena. They know what you're dealing with. They know, the battles that we have to face, and they know, the things that we have faced and the things that we have experienced in terms of, like medicine and being discriminatory towards, blacks and things like that. The experiments that they did, the movie Miss Evers Boys, where they, injected black men with syphilis and things like that or whatever.
Right.
And when they did the radiation treatment on the other black man. So we are, far in between. We have had a lot of experience with, bad treatment when it comes to, the medicine and the medical practices and, things like that. And I was just telling my cousin the other day, get a black doctor. Black doctors understand black issues. I've had issues with people, doctors of other races and things like that, where I basically had to, battle because, they wasn't listening and they think that they were right or whatever. So I'm like, I'm paying you. So it's either you listen or I get another doctor. So I ended up getting another doctor because what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to go back and forth about, something that's going on with me. You are the expert of your body. The doctor
Mhm.
is there to, like guide you through the process and, help you through whatever. But at the end of the day, they're making an educated guess as to what's wrong with you. But you are the, the expert of what you got going on in your symptoms and your needs and things like that. And it's also a known fact that, they don't take black issues seriously. They think that we can withstand pain. They think that we can, handle things that other races cannot. So they don't take black issues, serious. So it's no surprise, when I hear, all these horror stories and, things like that that surround, black women and black men when it comes to, medicine. So, my advice, get a black doctor. Black doctors understand black issues.
Well, speaking of black doctors and black issues, I know that you, like myself, are a fan of sports, and I'm going to get to a very talented gymnast. But before I get to that talented gymnast, my dad, and I don't think that I told you this before, but he taught at one point. I think he taught for a number of years as part of an exchange program in the country of Eritrea. And we know that Eritrea and Ethiopia have
Hmm.
had their own battles and everything. But apparently, we have a winner in the Tour de France that came from Eritrea and all along those lines. And he
Hmm.
even had a statement about his victory because he's the first one, the first black African rider to win a Tour de France stage. And he said that this win was for all Africans. So this brother right here, whose name is Biniam Gourmet, is the
Hmm.
one that won a stage. And apparently it was the first stage that was been out there for an African doing the Tour de France bicycle ride. So I know sometimes
Hmm.
even on this show we've had conversations about the sometimes uh, friendship that goes on between African and African Americans, but we also know that there can sometimes be a little bit of pitting us against each other. But I was just wondering
Hmm.
your take and whether we should be celebrating this man's victory since it apparently was the first one that it took place in by an African rider, and he said that the win was for all Africans, and we do know that Africa is made up of multiple of nations, just not Eritrean, Ethiopian, but a number of other ones as well. So I just wanted your take on this gentleman that apparently is won this stage and is the first one to have that title.
I mean, it's not a problem with celebrating people from, Africa and things like that. More power to him. Big ups, because we're not African. we're Black Americans. We come from descendants of Africans, but we were born here. We're not Africans. But I believe in supporting those who support me. So you support me, I support you. But you want to shout out to your nation, your country, your continent or whatever. That's a big a major stance, and that's a major accomplishment what he has done, and I'm proud of him. Because Black people are looked upon across the world as less than. So
Mhm.
that was a major stride for him. So yes, he should be proud of celebrating his heritage and his continent and where he's from, and things like that or whatever. That was a major feat with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, speaking of major feats, and I did kind of reference her. I think that she has won again and is getting ready to head to the Olympics, which will be in Paris. And there is no doubt that Simone Biles is no joke when it comes to sports and everything. But I just wanted your take on this major woman in gymnastics, because, like I said, it's expected that she might even carry a title again. And she's actually relatively young, only 27. So she's definitely in that millennial group and not that far away from some of your students. So just wanted your take on Simone Biles and how she is handling her fame, because she, along with Coco Gauff and
Hmm.
others, have had fame at a relatively young age. And best I can tell, she seems like she's doing a good job of handling the fame, and I expect that she'll do strong in the Olympics that'll be held in Paris this year. But I was just wondering your take on Miss Biles.
I mean, I think she's a great role model for young girls, and she tries to, walk the walk and talk the talk and things like that. And her gymnastics speaks for herself. It speaks for everything that she's about, everything that she stands for. She's a powerhouse. She's a dominator. She is the goat. And when it comes to gymnastics, and she has faced unprecedented trials and tribulations just based off of how good she is and how she has worked and how she has performed to become as good she is. People want to diminish her skills. They want to take points away from her because she's so powerful, because she's so dominant and things like that, saying that because she's that way, it makes other women feel bad. But my thing is, step your game up. You know what I'm saying? They always want to minimize Black women and put them to shame and try to push them in the corner, and put other women and other races who are mediocre when it comes to certain things or whatever. Serena experienced it. Shakari experienced it. I was just seeing on one of those videos that they let a known rapist of a 12-year-old participate in the Olympics, but they wouldn't let Shakari, who smoked weed, who smoked the not an enhancing drug, just a natural, remedy, because weed is natural. It's a natural plant, and they took her Olympic, opportunity away from her because of that. But they allowed this rapist to, go ahead and compete and persist in the Olympics and things like that or whatever. So my thing is, like they do what they want to do, when it comes down to it. And we can all revert this back to Trump. He made fun of, disabled people. Now let me go out there and make fun of disabled people. They will want my job. Let me go out there and make fun of, President Biden and his speech impediment. They will want my job. But you're allowing a known person who has known to be a sex offender, grabbing women by their private parts, and is okay with it because he put Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, who sexually assaulted a woman while he was in college. So, my thing is, look at the pot calling the kettle black, but y'all said nothing about that because, and that's another thing that I wanted to bring up with Lady Gaga saying that she feels uncomfortable with, the law firm representing Diddy, but you didn't feel uncomfortable with, Trump being president. You didn't speak out about that, but that's that white woman shit. You know what I'm saying? So, it's, they pick and choose what they want to stand for and what they want to go for and things like that. But you didn't have a problem with Brett Kavanaugh being on the Supreme Court. You didn't feel uncomfortable with that, but you feel uncomfortable with the law firm representing Diddy. And no, by no means am I saying that Diddy, is in the right or anything like that. But my thing is, everybody deserves their fair day in court, and things like that. They deserve a fair trial because even with the whole Cassie situation, I could see if you left after 1 year, but you stayed 13 years. At some point, you stopped being a victim, and you became a willing participant. So you were that willing participant. So you see where I'm going with this. Even with Matt Lauer, no charges were brought against him when they said that he was forced forcing himself on women. People had to go downstairs and sleep with him and things like that or whatever. In what's his name, the Prince Edwards. They were rather a sex offender who was akin to Epstein. Instead of a black woman who's brilliant, by the way, Meghan Markle, in that likeness. You know what I'm saying? So they do what they want to do. They support what they want to support. So they can't sit here and say nothing bad about nobody. Because even when they came out, saying what Bill Cosby did or whatever, I was still a strong supporter of Bill Cosby, as I'm still a strong supporter of R. Kelly and things like that or whatever. And I'm not taking anything away from people who has been sexually assaulted, because it's kind of sort of happened to me in the club. And I understand how you feel. But at the same time, I still feel the way that I feel. And I feel like they were unjustly treated, and they were unjustly imprisoned, when other people did the same exact thing and received no punishment.
Well, not only that, but there is a major coach, a major white coach that has apparently got a very young. And I'm not saying that there can't be age differences, because there can be a variety of age differences for a variety of reasons. But a lot of people are wondering, to your point, why Bill Belichick is getting a skate from a lot of people when his girlfriend is a former employee of his and is around 27. And I think Mr. Belichick is somewhere around the age of 80 or something in that space. But a lot of people are giving him a pass because of his fame and his success as the New England Patriots coach. So I don't know if you had any thoughts around this notion of Mr. Belichick and his apparently 27-year-old ex cheerleader girlfriend, because I think that is the age range that I'm hearing. And apparently they are going out in the public and being seen in the public, and to each their own and everything, to borrow one of your favorite phrases. But I'm sure that there are some people that are uncomfortable with that relationship, particularly by somebody that is in a power figure and all along those lines. I mean, that doesn't seem much different than what, to your point, folks said about Bill Cosby. But this is somebody of a different culture, and I haven't heard any real pushback against him and his 27-year-old girlfriend. But I was just wondering your take on that.
So my thing is, even with the 27-year-old girlfriend or whatever, isn't she an adult?
She is an adult.
That's all that need to be said. If she's comfortable with it, I don't have no take on nobody relationship and things like that. If they're comfortable with it, that's on them. As long as he didn't have a child and things like that or whatever, she's a consenting adult, she's a willing participant. It is what it is. I'm not paying the bills, he's not paying mine, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So two
Well,
willing adults.
yeah, considered adults. And just to give a little bit of clarity, apparently I had their ages wrong, because apparently he is 72, not 80, and she's actually 24. So she's
Yeah.
24.
So I mean, again, two consenting adults. And if she want to get down like that, that's on her. If he want to get down like that, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? People find happiness in unlikely places and in unlikely people. So, again, two consenting adults. It is
Yep.
what it is. And another topic that I want to bring up was the fact that we had the BET Awards. I did not watch the BET Awards. I've just been seeing snippets. I was actually traveling back yesterday.
Mhm.
I went to New Orleans for a few days to go hang out before I start work, and things like that, to kick it with my family. And we had an awesome time. But one of the awards that people felt slighted about was Tyler receiving Best New Orders. She should not have received Best New Orders. Although I don't really care for Sexy Red, Tyler did not have a better year than Sexy Red. Tyler should not have won that in that category. She shouldn't have even been in. She shouldn't have even been in the category. Period. Sexy
Sure.
Red should have won that hands down. But this is one of the reasons why we really don't support BET, because of this foolishness right here or whatever. You're taking the fame and the limelight from people who actually deserve it to somebody who really doesn't deserve it. She doesn't deserve it. She said that she wasn't even black. She said that she didn't even identify with Black Americans. She said she was colored. So now all of a sudden she want to be black. She only want to be black when it benefits her. So let her take her colored ass on back over to Africa and do what she does over there. But BT, you got this one wrong. You slighted Sexy Red, who should have won Best New Artist and things like that or whatever, and you gave it to somebody who is who's just not there. in terms of what Sexy Red has done. And like I said, standing 2 feet, hands down, 10 toes, hand down, or whatever, they got it wrong with this. And I stopped watching the BET Awards a long time ago when they said that it was no longer black owned and things like that or whatever. And we see why. So my thing is, you can't insult the culture, but you also want to be accepted by the culture. So now take your little colored ass on back to Africa and do what you do in South Africa. We don't need you over here. It is what it is. Your
Well,
thoughts?
apparently some interesting awards, and I had not watched it either. I did see it just briefly and everything, but I saw the album of the year was apparently between, I don't know who won, but it was between Killer Mike, Nicki Minaj, Victoria Monet, Drake, Usher, 21 Savage, Gunna, and Chris Brown, and everything along those lines. And apparently, Killer Mike album won and everything. So it looks like that is who won that award and everything. Will Smith apparently made a return to music with his new single "You Can Make It," and definitely we had Usher have a lifetime achievement award where he was honored by Babyface, L.A. Reid, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis and everything. So definitely looks like there was the moment celebrated through a star-studded musical tribute, including a medley of his hits performed by artists like Chloe Bailey, Childish Gambino, Kiki Palmer, Coco Jones,
Hmm.
Tanashi Lato, and more. So definitely there was a lot of that. And I think that I had even heard that there might have been a honoring of because I think that was one of the new things that's out there of Marley and all along those
Hmm.
lines. So definitely, it's always good when we get Marley honored in that kind of space.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always good to see, them honoring, past musicians and things like that or whatever. But Usher, he did not do a great speech or whatever. He started cursing. But my thing is, you don't curse at the white people award ceremony. So why you cursing at the black people ceremonies? There were children present. Children performed at the BET Awards and things like that. So you gonna disrespect the kids too. So, they actually muted his mic and things like that or whatever. But hey, to each his own, it is what it is or whatever. So I guess he deserved it and things like that. I guess he didn't know or whatever, and he didn't have anything prepared. But you never know. You should always have something in the back of your head and always be prepared for any situation, and things like that or whatever. So,
Speaking of being
like I
always
said,
prepared,
it
speaking of
is what it
being
is.
always prepared, and you kind of mentioned it in the sense of the BET Awards, but I've been trying to think back on this, and I've had friends that say that they felt that they saw moments when the candidates, meaning Trump and Biden, were being muted because that was one of the rules. In addition to Trump being able to have the last say, which I think was a tactical mistake and everything. I've also heard some people that have been critical of the people around Biden because they felt that he was inundated with too many statistics and facts and all along those lines. But I was just wondering, as one that maybe watched the debate, I tried to watch the entirety of it. I don't think I saw anything where I would 100% convinced that they were muting. Now, I've had other friends that watched it and they said, yeah, that they saw moments where they felt that they were muting the candidates because that was supposed to be one of the rules. And I did not see it with my own eyes something that I recognized as a mute, and like I could have missed it. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect. Nobody is and everything. But I was just wondering, did you see evidence of them actually using that mute button that they said they were going to use throughout the preparation of the debates?
I want to say that I did or whatever, because in some instances when they were both candidates, when they were responding or whatever, you could see that their mouths were moving and you didn't hear anything coming through the microphone or whatever, which I think that's good. But at the same time, I think they were a little worried about going over the time and things like that, because they kept saying, oh, you have 89 seconds or you have 49 seconds, and people were mad that President Biden didn't use up his full 2 minutes or whatever. But they were instructed that it would only be 2 minutes and things like that. Because I'm a person. I say what I got to say and be done with it or whatever. So if it took me 2 minutes, it took me 2 minutes. If it took me 30 seconds, it took me 30 seconds. It is what it is.
Mhm. And speaking of taking seconds, the other topic that came up, I want to come back to sports on you just for a second, that some folks were wondering about was this notion of nepotism. Because one
Hmm.
of the last picks that was picked by the Los Angeles Lakers was Bronny James. And of course, some people are saying that that is a prime case of nepotism, even though I
So
understand that LeBron might not even be with the Lakers because I think he's up for free agency and he may even opt to go to another team, or he may stay there and groom his son in order to take his position as leader of that team later and everything. But I just wonder, what are you hearing from the streets about this notion of Bronny being picked as one of the last picks by his father's team?
Honestly, I really don't care what the streets are saying. That was a boss move by LeBron to get his son into the NBA and things like that or whatever, because the NBA, NFL, and all these sports team is nothing but nepotism. If you look at, let's take the America's team, Cowboys, Jerry Jones, all his family, all his kids work in the top offices in
Right.
those positions and things like that. What do they think that is? That's nepotism. So it's a problem when LeBron James do it, but it's okay when they do it. So you see the hypocrisy behind it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all always talking about creating generational wealth. So this man is setting his son up for success and things like that. But you have a problem with it because they talking about, oh, he didn't earn it. And so what? How many of these white folks out here have earned positions and things like that or whatever, and that they have positions that qualified black people should have, but because they know the boss, or they're friends with the boss's cousin or family member and things like that, that they have gotten positions. So, to hell with what they're saying. Good move, LeBron James. Big ups, LeBron James, for doing what you needed to do for your son. You know what I'm saying? You did what you needed to do to get your son in a position to earn money, in a position to earn, generational wealth, in a position to, be in the NBA. Good move on your part. And for all the other people, y'all need to stop letting that slave mentality, stop you from progression and things like that or whatever. Because they're always saying, oh, you got to come up by your bootstraps. That was the biggest lie that was ever told to America. The biggest lie was, the American dream. Oh, you got to work hard to get where you want and things like that. We've known people who worked hard all their lives and they're still living in poverty. You know what I'm saying? Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. All these white people out here talking about pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Y'all didn't do anything to earn anything. I'm not saying the ones who are self-made. I'm talking about the ones who have generational wealth from white supremacy and stuff. Did you pull yourself up by the bootstraps? Did your children pull themselves up by the bootstraps? Hell no, they didn't pull themselves up by the bootstraps. You put them in positions of power. You gave them wealth before they could even, go out into the world and things like that or whatever. You put them in a position to win, and you put them in a position to be successful. You put them in a position to have money and things like that. So now y'all want to talk about LeBron James and his son? Y'all can go straight to hell with that one or whatever. LeBron James, you did what you did to get your son where he needed to be. You put your son in a
Right, that
position
makes a lot of
in a
sense and
power play
everything.
and things like that. Huh?
I said that makes a lot of sense that he did what he's supposed to do, and a lot of people will do that and everything. Just really quickly, because we started off with this notion of the debates and everything along those lines, and there was a writer that was there on the Griot, which we know is one of the black online publications, and they actually came up with a sarcastic answer. And yes, I am saying they were being sarcastic with it and everything. So they came up with a list of jobs that are maybe considered black jobs because apparently you've got to mostly work in these jobs are African Americans and everything. So in this list they had was Popeyes workers, meaning Popeyes the chicken franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So they said let's start with one of the blackest black jobs ever. You have to be black to work at a Popeyes because most Popeyes locations are in non-gentrified neighborhoods, and it takes one of us to deal with the rest of us when people get attitudes about chicken pieces or red beans and rice, biscuits that can kill you, and things of that nature. And you have to be black with the right amount of hood attitude to have this job. It's probably better if you know how to fight. They also said shade tree mechanics. You know how when something breaks down on your
Mm-hmm.
car on a Friday, the shop tells you it's going to cost an amount of money you can't possibly come up with before it's time for you to go back to work on Monday, and you complain to your granny, and she tells
Mm-hmm.
you Leon up the street can get that fixed for you for the smooth price of $50 a pack of Newports and an eighth of weed and everything. And they're saying that that can only be a black man. And yes, we know there are shade tree mechanics of all colors, but honestly, who are you going to trust the most? And they also gave the notion of the candy lady. Ain't nobody black letting their kids buy or eat treats from anyone other than a black lady in the neighborhood that everybody knows, and they would not go on to elaborate. And then they said the sassy customer service worker, the sassy customer service worker is different from those other customer service workers because you got about two times to say something slick to her before she forgets she's at her job and not outside on the street with you. And to be honest, some of y'all need that because you be talking to people crazy and going too far. And he says the black guy who dies first in the horror movie. That's something I've said often, that that's the first one to go. And
Mm-hmm.
everything says that if I have to explain this to you, you not like us and the affirmative action or DEI horror. Sure, you got this job on your own merits, but white people will never believe that. You symbolize everything they hate. You know what they're doing, you know what you're doing, and you're good at your job, but they will continue to seek to diminish you because it bothers them that you are there. And I gotta say that a lot of those are very true and everything. The last one that they added was the black identity extremists. You know you don't exist, but the FBI thinks you do. And
Hmm.
apparently, the qualification for this job is to be unapologetically black. You're doing amazing, sweetie. So if you're unapologetically black, then you get into trouble. And the online university promotional figure, which Master P's son Romeo shouldn't get all the shine here, since schools like ICDC and Everest College are obviously targeting people who look like us. So the spokespeople should look like us too. And then they added the lady who sells plates. If you can make a mean pan of macaroni and cheese and everyone raves about your greens and potato salad, you can have this job. Bonus points if you put your plates in those divided styrofoam containers and sell them out of your trunk next to the liquor store. And the head usher, to be clear, white churches probably have ushers, but there's no hierarchy in their usher system the way that there is in a black church. So then they also added the hype man, anyone who just called reverend, and the hustler. Let's be clear: white people work and get paid, black people hustle and get money. It's a difference. So they added a couple of jobs, and they went on to add some other ones as well. But it was a very sarcastic article that Monique Judge wrote. So if you want to go to the griot, you can see some of the other things that they added as well. Because definitely there's even the stereotype of us being cosmetologists and barbers. Not that there are not white people in those fields
Hmm.
well and everything, but definitely there are some serious stereotypes that have existed and continue to exist.
I did my video on black jobs this morning. I talked about my degree and my jobs and things like that or whatever, and I sent it to you, so you have it now. So it's posted on Facebook. I'm gonna upload it to TikTok as well, and my other forms of social media and things like that or whatever, because black professionals are having a field day with this. I saw one where it was all doctors and nurses, anesthesiologists, and things like that or whatever, identifying their black jobs. So a lot of black professionals have really hopped on to identifying black jobs and things like that, letting people know what our black jobs are.
Right. And like I said, there are some jobs that were stereotypical, as you know, because I don't hide it. I work at a African American Cultural Arts Center, and have been a long part of their history because they'll be celebrating 50 years next year. And I have not been here the whole 50 years, but I've been here for a number of decades and everything. And yes, as part of the Black Wall Street, there was people that were building up banks, which some people may see as a black job, but yes, there were a number of beauticians and barbers and funeral home directors, which we do know are sometimes seen as stereotypical jobs in our
Hmm.
fluent black communities and all along those lines. But the other thing that we sometimes talk about, and I know we talked about it on this show, and maybe we'll bring it up in a future show and everything, is this notion of the black elite and how they sometimes do a little bit, maybe too much mingling with the white
Hmm.
elite and everything like that. Because I know that that was part of the conversation, not just here in Durham, but also in Tulsa as well. So there are some elite families that may be more interrelated than either of the families want to admit, and particularly the white side of the family wants to admit and everything. But there, it is a known. It's like one of those secrets. It's not really all that well of a kept secret that these families are probably intermingled and interrelated because of some of the ways that the white community came into our community.
Oh, definitely. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother different day or whatever, because we only have like a few more minutes. But like I said, we'll get into more, in-depth conversations, coming up in the next coming shows and things like that or whatever. And so we'll explore race and politics, and the racism behind how the Republicans are voting, the gerrymandering, and all of those things. But with that being said, to my loves, the clock on the wall says that's all. So we will dive deep into more conversations, more hot topics, on the next Monday. I hope you guys join us for the up and coming shows where we talk about pretty much any and everything. And if you have a topic that you would like for us to discuss, or you would like to be a part of the show, you can reach out at any point in time. But at the end of the day, the clock on the wall says that's all. So make sure you click like and share, and let's get those numbers up.
Gotta get those numbers up.
Sis.
Like you said, we're getting ready to head on out of here. And if
Mhm.
everybody wants to send Mark Lee a birthday gift, I will gladly take any birthday gifts between now and the end of July because I'm gonna celebrate for the entire month, at least the first half
Celebrate the
of July.
entire month. I'm good for celebrating the entire month. Celebrate the entire month. Loving it.
Sounds good. So we're getting ready to get on out of here. But this has been a fun conversation, and as always, it's always great to see you, Dr. Anthony. So I look forward to seeing
Likewise, I
you
hope you
again.
have an amazing birthday, and go drink toss them back and enjoy. And once again, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Awlaround. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.